We're talking about the mission these days, and last Sunday I talked about the community part, the community as a crucible for the creative and for caring and for curiosity about who could we be as individuals and as a community of people. If we didn't have the fear, what could we accomplish? So today I want to talk about nourishing souls, but I want to acknowledge that we're in the middle of the high holy days of our Jewish members and cousins and friends. And Rosh Hashanah is the birthday of the world, the head of the year, the new year. And then Yom Kippur is the end of the 10 days. And during that time, which we're in the middle of right now, it's a time for ritual actions. It's a time for reflection. It's a time for ritual food, building family and building community and nourishing our souls with those things. So I want to talk about how people come into community with hungry souls, and then our souls get filled up, and then we're hungry again. Even though we get so full, sometimes we think, I'm never going to eat again, I'm never going to be hungry ever again. Still, the natural way of things is that our bodies get hungry, our souls get hungry. And how do we fulfill our mission to nourish our own souls, but more importantly, to nourish the souls of others? I know what nourishes my soul. Good conversation, good friends, good food made well, and movies, and I hope that walks in nature and that kind of stuff will be added back on the list by Christmas or so. But my soul is nourished by many things, and I know you are maybe aware of some of the things that nourish your souls. Let me talk about reflection as a way of nourishing the soul. A lot of times we carry around things that we've done or said, and they make us cringe in the middle of the night. We wake up and we go, oh, I can't believe I said that, or oh, I wish I hadn't done that. And so having a time, like the Roman Catholics have a confession, it's not called that anymore, ritual of reconciliation, I think it's called now. But Unitarian Universalists don't have that, but we kind of hitch onto the coattails of our Jewish friends and cousins sometimes by having a time of reflection in the fall, where we think about what are my deeds like? Have I hurt people? Have I not been helpful in times when I was asked to be helpful? Have I sometimes been helpful when I wasn't asked to be helpful, thereby giving the impression that the person was incompetent in my mind? Have I been angry? Has my despair at the world come out sideways in terms of sharpness with my family? There are all kinds of things that we do that feel bad. Some people say Unitarian Universalists have no sense of sin, but if you want to get in touch with your UU sense of sin, just take a big old plastic bottle and throw it in the trash without recycling. That's what that feels like. The thing to do after we make our inventory, our reflection, is to ask for forgiveness of the people that we've hurt. Now, in a lot of religions, you ask God for forgiveness. Unitarian Universalists have many different views of God. Some have the more personal God of the Abrahamic faiths of Christianity, Judaism, Islam. Some of us have a more sense of the force or a higher power. Sometimes we call it the sage or the creative. Sometimes we call it the Great Spirit. There are words that resonate with each of us when we're talking about that sense of being that is greater than ourselves. Sometimes I think it feels appropriate for me to ask the Great Spirit for forgiveness, but more often, it's important to ask the person you hurt for forgiveness, unless that would hurt them more. I had an experience in my teenagerness of being angry at a member of my family, and I said to him, I really need you to apologize to me. And he said, God has forgiven me, so I don't need your forgiveness. You know how mad teenagers can get. So I want to talk about how an apology can nourish your soul if you are the giver, and it can also nourish you if someone apologizes to you. An apology can be a healing thing. Here are some not good apologies. I'll just get that out of the way right now. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. No. Hear the difference between that and I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings? It's different. Or here's one that I got long ago and far away. I'm sorry if you chose to hurt yourself over what I said. That was not a good one. Here's one I've been guilty of in the past, the premature apology. You realize you've done something wrong and you go, oh, I'm sorry. And you hold your hands out like this, like, shut up. And then if they still want to talk about their feelings, you're like, I said I was sorry. Not cool. So a really good apology is where you take a deep breath and you understand how they're feeling. And you go, I'm sorry that what I did or said caused you to feel this. And then you say something like, I sure do understand how you could feel that way. You don't go, I didn't mean it that way, because that matters a little, but not a lot. I sure do understand how you could feel that way. And then, for extra credit, to go above or beyond, if you're feeling energetic and chirpy, you just go, tell me more about how that felt to you. They might have more to say, and it will be healing for them to say it, and maybe healing for you to hear it, and I promise you won't die. And then you say, I'm sorry, I hope you can forgive me. I will try not to do this again. Some of us, some among us, I'm not counting myself in that bunch, are really good at extrapolating. So if something that you do hurts somebody, and we almost always marry each other, these two different types of people. If something that you do hurts somebody, you can kind of extrapolate, like, oh, this is like that, and so that would probably hurt them too. But some of us do not extrapolate well, and so we don't do that thing again, because that's in the filing cabinet under don't do that again. But we don't go, oh, this is like that, so I won't do that either. We do this, and your partner goes, that's just like that thing. You go, oh, I'm sorry, I don't work like that, but I sure will file it under don't do that again, too. So you say, I hope you can forgive me, and I will try not to do that again to the best of my ability and understanding. And even if their feelings about what you did are completely irrational and unreasonable, it's still good to understand that they're feeling that way. Does that make sense? Okay, good. I went through all this stuff without looking at it. Okay. Another way of nourishing the soul, if I were an old school Unitarian minister, I would spend the whole time just parsing what the word soul meant. That doesn't interest me. It may interest some of y'all, and we can go out to lunch and talk about it. But I think, this is Austin. And you all have heard live music played with no soul. And you've heard live music played with soul. What is that? You may not be able to describe it, but you know it when you hear it. It's the essence of a person. It's their humanity. It's their being coming through. It's what separates them from being a guitar playing machine or a piano playing machine, where you can go, wow, that's amazing screaming guitar licks, but I don't feel you in there. Or, I really felt you in there. That the you is the soul part to me. So, other things that nourish the soul. A sense of being listened to, being seen. I see you. A lot of people feel invisible almost all the time. And to have that feeling of being seen is enormously valuable. To have the feeling of being listened to is valuable. Here's what being listened to means. Not just, That happened to me one time too, which is how most people listen. You talk, and then they're immediately in them and their experience that was like your experience, but they're talking about them and not you anymore. Really listening is like asking 3 different questions about what they just said. I taught my sons this. I said, ask 3 different questions about what they just said, and that's listening. And one of them called me from college and said, "Ma, thanks for teaching us how to talk to girls." It's hard to do, and it's a very rare experience for people, but it nourishes their soul, and it nourishes the listener as well. A sense of belonging can happen in a community like this. This community is an invitation to a sense of belonging, but there are lots of things that mitigate against that. So we have small groups where it's more likely that you can feel a sense of belonging. Those are called chalice circles. Some of the small groups are, and they're signing up for them now. You know the young woman who did the children's time, Lane, she's our director of faith development, and she can tell you all about how to get involved in chalice circles if you would like to do that. They're starting up in October sometime. I love the idea of ritual food. Cesar Chavez said, if you really want to make a friend, go to someone's house and eat with them. The people who give you their food give you their heart. Eating with somebody. Tolkien said, if more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. Nourishing the soul with learning the food of your culture from your forebears is soul expanding. And when someone shares a recipe or a food preparation experience with you from their culture to yours, it is a soul nourishing experience. If you have someone teach you how to make tortillas, or how to make chapatis, or how to make rice, then you've gotten a piece of that person's soul transferred to you, and it makes them bigger, and it makes you bigger as well. It's precious. I'm smiling because I'm remembering my mother and her brother Lindsay in the kitchen making curry. They all grew up in what is now Pakistan, and their taste buds were completely burned out. My mother could eat horseradish just straight from the jar, and she could kind of taste it, but anyway, so they would, as each of them passed the pot, they would shake a little more spice in, shake a little more spice, and their mother would be My grandmother would be in the kitchen going, "Oh, no, don't put it, no, don't." So they just wait till her back was turned. Just put a little more. Anyway, we have food rituals here at this church. Don't know if you know about it. Breakfast tacos. It's a very Austin thing to have breakfast tacos, and this church has breakfast tacos because Martha Leipziger, who was a former, not a former member, a deceased member of the church, gave the church a bequest in her will, and we've been using that for Martha's breakfast tacos, and it's helped people with kids and older people. You don't have to worry about breakfast. You come to the first service, you have breakfast. There's like a breakfast group that comes to eat tacos and be in the first service. I was thinking about Protestant potlucks because I've been to a lot of them, and they're so different regionally. You know, in the Midwest, you have hot dishes, and the salads have marshmallows in them and whipped cream. And in the South, of course, you have the pineapples with dough and cheese. The dough is usually made out of Ritz crackers, so pineapples, Ritz crackers, cheese, sugar. It's just a funeral casserole. You eat it at funerals, and it hastens your own. And you know, if you live in the north, you have Roman Catholic fish fries on Friday night. You can go to different churches. You can have pierogies in some places in the country, and fish fries. And I was thinking about what are our Unitarian Universalist food traditions, and it came to me. We have potlucks, and it's traditional for us to have a good number of vegetarian dishes, and it's traditional for us to have some vegan dishes and some gluten-free dishes because we want to welcome all the members of our community to our food rituals. And it's important to allow people to feel welcome and as if they belong. And so it's important to have food options for people. So we nourish our souls with listening to music and with singing music together, and we nourish our souls with worship, and we nourish our souls with ritual food and the way that we do things. We nourish our souls in this congregation by lighting candles. That is a ritual that nourishes us. The pagans among us have rituals that nourish the soul and nourish the planet. The social justice folks have rituals that nourish their souls. I'm going to tell you about one of them. There's a petition that we all are going to sign, unless you have an objection. A petition to stop the deportation of Alirio Gomez, who is our guest in Sanctuary, and you can find that petition in the hall. So we sign petitions, we go to protests, we call our congressional representatives, even though it feels like Sisyphus, and we have our rituals of social action. And we have our coffee. Coffee is important. I have so many directions I want to go, but I'm running out of time, so I'll just say that the reason that we nourish our own souls is so that we can be a fountain overflowing to nourish the souls of others. And if our fountain starts to go dry, we can nourish the souls of others anyway and see if it starts our fountain up again. And if you're a person who can talk to other people that you don't know, please do that in coffee hour. That will nourish them. If you can't, I sure do understand. Some churches are starting to even have bracelets that say introvert. So at coffee hour, you can just go. There was a satirical ad on Facebook, someone advertising for someone they could hire to do coffee hour for them. So if you're new, please understand that there are very many shy people here, and that I hope that someone will eventually say hello to you. And if you've been a member a long time and someone says to you, "Hi, are you new?" you can say, instead of, "I've been coming for 20 years. You can say, "Thank you so much for speaking. That's very kind. I've been coming here for 20 years. And now let us sing together a new hymn that we don't know very well. So Brian is going to play it through for us. Hymn number, I'm looking for my bulletin. 94, thank you. Those words were by Thoreau. That's how he nourished his soul, staring like a sheep and a cow. And eating the donuts his mother gave him every day while he was being self-sufficient. Let there now be an offering taken and gratefully received that will sustain and strengthen the mission of this congregation. If you're here for the first time, please be our guest and keep your money in your pocket unless you feel moved by the Spirit to give. If you've been here before, please do be generous with the tip jar. As we go out from this place, we are going to be blessed, and we are going to be a blessing in the world. There is so much need, both inside ourselves and outside. No one of us can do it all. But as we are together, we are strengthened. Our joys are shared. Our sorrows are shared. Remember the way of the